good morning, and welcome to Building Connections Doral Talks. I'm your host, Betty Gonzalez. This is episode 21. And today I want to bring something that is in everybody's mind, in all of the headlines. And people are approaching me and asking me questions, of course, as a real estate professional right here in Doral. And I want to come and I want to use this opportunity to come and give you my perspective of what's happening, and without the fluff and without the hyperbole that people are putting out there in the news, because it could be clickbait. Some has truth to it, some has not 100% truth to it, and some are just speculations. Okay, so I'm just going to give you my perspective, my opinion on what I believe could happen or going to happen and what's actually happening right now. So some of the things that I'm going to cover, I wrote a few notes here to make sure that I'm on one point. I want to talk about what the actual National Association or NAR settlement is going on, a little bit of it, because I'm not a lawyer. I'm only going to tell you what everybody else knows already, but explaining in layman's terms. I'm going to talk about some of the people that, in my opinion, are going to be more affected. What's going to happen for buyers, what's going to happen for sellers, also in my opinion, and then actions to move forward, okay? Because I just want to make sure that my clients are informed and that is coming from me, as this is my job to make sure that I keep the narrative with the truth rather than hyperbole or non-factual things that are happening. Okay, so I'm going to pull up a few things that I have over here that I want to show you, but I also want to say this is the third episode that I'm coming live by myself. Next week I have a special guest, Digna, one of our councilwoman members right here in Doral. She's gonna come and it's gonna be a great interview. So I want you to tune in next Thursday at 9 in the morning so that you can come and ask your questions. And today, whatever questions you might have, please put it in the comments below. Since I'm live and it's only me managing it, I might not be able to read it right now, but I certainly will answer them in the future or in the next episode. So let me start right away and talk to you what I want to talk about. So what has been on the news for the NAR settlement? What does that mean and how does that affect you as a consumer, right? So what's happening right now is the NAR settlement. Let me pull it up here. Let me share the screen with you guys. So, okay, so the settlement, right? So what I want you to, I highlighted a few things, right? So this is the changes that are coming on. The changes that are coming on is that the National Association of Realtors, or NAR for short, has agreed to put in place a new rule prohibiting offers of compensation on the MLS. That change will go in effect mid-July, this 2024, okay? And then what does that mean? The settlements provide that the MLS participant working with buyers. So what has changed for buyers is that, let's say, for example, you call me and you want me to represent you and show you a few houses. Well, right now, based on the proposed moving forward mid-July, is that before I even show you a property and start showing you properties, we have to come into an agreement of client-agent agreement. What is different? So before, it was almost like a customer, the difference between a customer and a client. So clients, you agree to solely work with me and you are going to compensate me based on what I'm offering on my services. For this, as a customer, a potential client or a prospect, you will want to probably interview a few agents, 1 to 3 or however many you feel comfortable, before you decide to go into business with this person, before they even show you properties. Now, this is not going to happen until the mid of July of this year. So right now it is the status quo. We can go ahead and show you properties until it is mandatory. I'm going to start changing some of my practices to make sure that I'm in compliance with the new laws coming in. So now let me show you where that is. So right here, the settlement provides that the MLS participant working with buyers must enter into written representation agreement with those buyers. And like I said, this change will go into effect mid-July. So that's what I want you to take out of all of this. That the main thing is that the compensation, for example, as it is now or has been happening, agreements was entered with the seller's agreement when the seller decided to sell the property, and the compensation for both agents was agreed upon with the seller's agent at the time of the agreement of the entering into contract. For example, it could have been 5, so 2.5% will go to the seller's agent, and then the other 2.5% will go to the buyer's agent representative bringing the buyers, right? So that was agreed upon prior to even they going on the market or even putting it on the MLS. You couldn't put it on the MLS until that agreement was signed. And now it can still be negotiated, but the difference is they cannot be any longer put into the MLS. That's the difference. It could be put in there, the brokerage website. It could be into the real estate agent themselves website. It could be potentially put into the Zillow, third parties, Realtor.com, Trulia, you name it. It could potentially be put on there, but it cannot be put on the MLS. That's the main difference. Meaning, because they're claiming that when some sellers offer more compensations than other sellers, the claim was that some agents were not showing those properties. Well, I beg the difference. So what's going to potentially happen, and now this is my opinion, because a lot of agents now moving forward do not have to potentially participate in the MLS, which what made it a fair market. So this made it a market where all agents will come together and know exactly what's on the market, because it was mandatory. If you were a part of the National Association of Realtors, you have to participate. Then meaning that everything that was on the market was available to all. So if it's no longer mandatory, it's gonna be harder to find what's actually on the market, because everything could be potentially fragmented. And other sites could gain more views, because if agents can go there and put their compensations there, because they're going to attract more buyers for their sellers, then they potentially could do that. So that's the downfall. I think that instead of more transparent, it's be less transparent, because it will be more fragmented, where now everything is in the same software or same platform in the MLS. Now it might be off the MLS, and there's gonna be more behind the doors transactions, which is gonna make it less transparent, in my opinion. And the people that lose most in this case will be the consumer, because the consumer will not know. Now, a lot of people argue that the sellers are going to be the winners. I don't know. It is to be seen, because what's going to happen, the sellers are the winners and the buyers are the losers. I think everybody loses. I believe sellers lose. I believe buyers lose. I believe agents lose. In which way? Because when there's no transparency, then everybody loses. For example, if you have, let's say that we have 5 properties on the market in the same community, and 5 properties are the exact same properties. These are 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 2-car garage houses in the same community, and they both, all 5 of them are, this is just an example, all 5 of them are in the range of $550,000 and $575,000. Some offer buyer's compensation. Let's say out of those 5, 2 offer buyer's compensation and 3 do not offer buyer's compensation, right? Regardless, now there's a buyer's agent that's helping a client, and their client cannot afford to pay that agent their commission. Now, agents are not going to work for free. They will tell this client, I'm going to call all 5 of these properties and I'm going to talk to their agent to see which ones are offering buyer's compensation so that you don't have to come out of pocket. Which houses do you think are going to close faster? The same as the houses that are overpriced, the houses that are underpriced, or the houses that are offering those buyer's agents compensations will sell faster, whether your house is better or not. That's my opinion. Because now if the buyer cannot afford, they can only afford what they can afford. Right now, as it is, it's hard for any buyer to afford any property right now, because the buyers have to come out of pocket for closing costs and down payment. And now on top of this, they're asking them to come up with commissions for the agent. A lot of people say, well, this money was coming out of the seller's pocket. So it's not fair for the seller to have less money to compensate this agent. Well, the truth is, if this agent didn't bring the client, most of the time, maybe you wouldn't have had that buyer. Well, maybe you would have. But what's going to happen is, keep in mind that real estate lags. By July, August, September, all of those comps of those properties that are on the market, of those sold before, those houses sold with a 6% baked in from the sellers compensating the agents. So just know that this might change. In which way? Some people say that the houses are not going to change prices, that they're going to continue to go higher because there's still demand and there's low inventory, which I agree. But the harder that you make it for a buyer to buy, the longer the properties will sit on the market, because buyers have what they have. Now, who's going to be the winners? Who could potentially benefit from this? Cash buyers. But if they have the cash to buy the property cash and pay the agent, then they must still offer lower for the property. I don't know. Are the properties going to continue to stay the same? Are they going to go up a little less? Or are they going to, I believe they're going to sit on the market longer if the sellers are too stubborn to see the benefit. Okay, so let me see. I don't want to go off the tangent. So how will this affect the sellers? Well, that's how I think it will affect the sellers. Houses are going to stay on the market a little longer than what they're staying on right now. However, how can they benefit the buyer? Well, maybe we'll have more inventory since houses are staying a little longer in the market. This is just me thinking. This is hypothetically speaking. This is nobody saying this is what happened. This is Betty Gonzalez speaking. Now, buyers are going to believe that if they skip representation from a buyer's agent, that they will be better off, because people are asking me this already. Well, this is a comment that I got today. Well, Betty, don't you believe that sellers, I agree that they need a seller's agent, but buyers don't need a buyer's agent because they can just go and look for the properties themselves, so they don't need anybody. No, they lose the most. Why? Because if they go straight to the seller, right, the seller's agent, remember the seller's agent entered into an agreement with the seller, so that agent is representing the seller. Not only are they representing the seller, they practice real estate every day, and this is what they're used to doing. They're used to negotiating against other agents. Well, now they're going to be negotiating with clients, with buyers, that potentially this might be their first transaction or their first purchase. They only know what they know. They don't even know what they don't even know that they don't know. So when things happen and they come up, they're not going to know how to negotiate for themselves like the agent can negotiate for the client. Remember, any seller wants to make more money on the sale of the property, right? They want to net more money. That's every seller's goal, and that is every real estate agent seller's job for the seller. Now, what does a buyer want? A buyer always wants to save the most money when they buy the house. So they want the best deal. They want to have the best house with the best features at the best closing with the least amount of money. That's what a buyer wants, and that's what they try to negotiate. But they don't have the tools to negotiate that against a seller's agent that, by the way, is representing the seller. So do I believe the buyers win? No, they don't. Because do I believe a lot of buyers will believe that they're going to go directly to the seller's agent representative and get better? That's not necessarily true. Could you have an agent that would be fair? How could you be fair to both parties? How could you help the buyers get the least amount of money and at the same time trying to get the most amount of money for the seller? Who's going to win? You tell me. So do I believe this change is for the better? Well, maybe. Maybe it will create more professionals in the field, because we all know that a lot of people become real estate agents as a hobby, maybe they want to sell one house or two, maybe those people will be out of the market. And only agents that really represent true value to the sellers and buyers will stick around, right? So do I believe that anything is going to change for me? No, I don't think so. Because till this moment, I know the most of my buyers that I helped, I've earned my money, because I guarantee you that some of these deals, had I not been involved, would not happen. And I know that for a fact. My clients know that for a fact. Now, what do I believe are the biggest losers right at this moment? At this moment, not meaning in the future, but right at this moment, are my dear VA loan borrowers. Why? Because as it is, there's a stigma that a lot of agents don't like to accept VA loans already. Now, if you add this to the pile, let me show you what I'm talking about. Let me share my screen. As it stands, you already know that VA loans does not allow for brokerage fees. So I am right now on VA's pamphlet 26-7 revised, chapter 8. This chapter covers borrowers' fees and charges and the VA funding fee. Okay, and so now I've already done a little bit of homework, so that for time's sake, we're not going to go to everything that the clients can pay. So we're going to focus on here on fees and charges. Fees and charges the veteran borrower cannot pay. Okay. And as of right now, this change date, November 8th, 2010, borrowers using the VA loan are not allowed to borrow attorney's fees. They're not allowed to borrow against brokerage fee, right? Fees or commissions charged by any real estate agent or broker in connection with the VA loan may not be charged to or paid by the veteran purchasers right here. Okay? So right now, they're also not able to do prepaid penalties. And I wrote a few other ones here because you have to do a lot of reading to get to it. So they cannot pay attorney's fee, brokerage's fee, prepayment penalties. For example, if you want to pay all of upfront, like, I don't know, you win the lotto and you want to pay your whole $100,000, you don't have a prepayment penalty. Harder FHA inspections fee for builders, application fees, which a lot of brokerage charge you, rate lock fees, second appraisals by lenders or sellers, meaning a borrower can pay for their appraisals, but if they require a second appraisal, like when I purchased this property, my lender wanted to do a second appraisal because this property was purchased originally by investor. They bought it for $100,000 and then we purchased it for $575. It was a big discrepancy. I need appraised at the value higher than the value. So it appraised twice, but they wanted to do a second appraisal. So VA borrowers will not pay for that second appraisal for the sake of their refined value. And the VA right now has not made any changes, but as I mentioned in previous episodes, I talk about when people were kind of like talking bad about the VA and how they're not able to pay for fees. And I said, yeah, they cannot pay for the fees. That was already a given. So, and I also mentioned during that episode that that's because none of these hasn't been settled, which it is settled now. I guarantee you that in the upcoming months, if it's not right at July, because sometimes the government moves a little slower when they come in to make changes like this, they will make changes to where potentially borrowers can make those fees and put them inside of the loan themselves, as they already do with the funding fee. Now let's look at the funding fee. So the funding fee is a fee charged by the VA to the borrower that rolls into the loan. And I believe this is going to be the same, right? So fees, let me see, policies of fees charged by the veteran. The VA funding fee. The VA funding fee is allowed, and that will roll into the loan. So if the veteran borrows $500,000 and they have to pay $17,000 for the funding fee, it will be rolled into the loan and it will pay it throughout the loan. I believe that's what's going to happen potentially. This is my opinion. The VA will come up with something similar to this to be able to help the veteran afford this. I also believe that agents like myself have already been helping my clients with helping them get closing costs, a whole bunch of other concessions. It will be the same. Okay, you just have to make sure that you work with an agent that gives you the security or the feeling that they are able to get you what you need with the money that you have. And you as a consumer have to be very upfront with your agents, because remember, a lot of times agents and clients, we don't talk money. You talk money with your lender, right? Now, when you're gonna come talk to me, I'm gonna tell you what I charge, and it's gonna be there. Now, what would I tell you if you were my client? I will tell you, hey, ma'am, sir, this is my percentage fee of the closing cost of the property. However, this is what I expect to get this paid. I will negotiate this. I will try to negotiate this with the seller. Once you tell me the property that you agree to try to purchase, I'll talk to the other agent. If they say they don't agree, okay, we'll try to negotiate that into there. If it's non-negotiable, then we'll talk that at that time, right? So, but if you don't have the money to pay for that, I will encourage you to continue to talk to your agents to see how that agent will work that with you. Don't sit on the sidelines. Let me tell you something that I've been saying for a while now. This could make potential buyers scared and say, hey, this is too much money. I won't be able to afford the American dream. I won't be able to purchase a house now. No. Now, more than ever, I will tell you, if you wanted to purchase a house, don't sit on the sidelines. Don't give up. Try to pursue your dreams, because I'm going to tell you something, my friend. Powerful people are owners, okay? Everyone else are renters. Don't listen to some of these people that tell you that you're a fool if you're trying to buy a house. You should rent and then invest. If you're not an investor, you don't even know how to make your money grow. That's not for you. Because unless you're investing everything else, because it's like, you know what, I'm living frugally, I'm paying $1,000 rent, and then the other $1,000 I'm investing it, then don't do that. Even Grant Cardone, let's use Grant Cardone because a lot of people know him and I like him, okay? Let's say Grant Cardone tells you, don't buy a property because you're wasting your money. Guess what he does? He's an owner. He might not be an owner of his own property at the beginning, but he was buying properties that he owned so that he can rent to other people, right? So he owned real estate. He might not, at the time that he started, he might not own real estate of where he lived, but he owned other real estates. So don't be fooled. Don't get tricked onto this, own nothing and be happy. That's not how people that were successful, to become successful in this country, become successful by owning nothing. Don't fall into the trap. Don't be that person. Be smarter than that. Don't let them scare you away. Buy your property, find a way. Talk to an agent that will work with you. I will work with you. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of professionals out there that will work with you and explain to you exactly what's going on. Don't let the fear monger enter your soul and mind. Talk to the agent. Don't listen to the news, because the news will only do clickbait and tell you on the surface, okay? The truth is, the people, I want you to be a homeowner, especially if you're a VA. Don't worry, my friend. They will find a way to help you get through this. And we will find a way to help you and work with you. Anyway, if you have any questions about this, talk to your agent, talk to me, send me a message, leave a comment below, and I'll make a video about it answering. Because if you have a question, that means other people have questions. If you're ready to make a purchase, don't wait. Don't let them scare you. Remember, if you want to be powerful, you have to own. For example, when the county is trying to make changes, they don't send the surveys to the renters. They send them to the owners, the decision makers. They're the one that make changes. They're the one with the voice. Have a voice. Be an owner. Don't let them steal the American dream from under you. You can do it. If I was able to do it, you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. Okay? So that is it for today, guys. Thank you for connecting. Thank you for tuning in Building Connections Doral Talks. This is your host, Betty Gonzalez. Please come in and be a guest and have your voice heard. Remember, this is your voice, but this is our community. Take care, my friend. Until next time, see you next week. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye. Real quick, calling all Doral professionals, entrepreneurs, and community influencers. Are you ready to showcase your business, share your knowledge and experience with our engaged audience? Building Connections Doral Talks invites you to become a guest speaker on our podcast. Share your unique perspectives and inspiring stories with our listeners. We believe in the power of your voice in shaping the conversations right here in Doral. Click the link below to submit your information and be part of our next episode. Join us in building connections, sharing knowledge, and growing together. Don't miss this opportunity to be a featured guest on Building Connections Doral Talks. Tune in, connect, share, and grow together with Building Connections Doral Talks, reshaping the way we engage with the diverse voices of Doral, one guest at a time. Doral Talks, your voice, our community. Click the link now on the show notes, the screen, or in the comments below, or just scan the QR code to submit your information as a guest. I hope to see you soon. See you in the next podcast. Bye.